Welcome to the Y Connect podcast. As the heartbeat of the community, the Y is a connector where people of all ages and walks of life come together to elevate their health, wellness, education, and essential life skills. Hear the stories of impact and join the authentic conversations where together we'll discover the journeys and pathways people take to connect through the Y. Now your hosts, Zarina, Robert, and Allison.
Hello.
Great Friday.
Happy
Great
Friday.
Or whatever day that you're listening. It's a great day, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. How have you guys been?
We've been well.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for everybody, but everything's been going pretty well. Definitely looking forward to this
How are
weekend.
the wedding plans coming?
Oh, wow.
That's a strong question in the beginning of this. Wedding plans are
Right
going
into
well.
it. I love it. Excellent.
Wedding plans are going well. We're still getting married, so I guess that's the best thing.
That's excellent.
Of course.
So as long as that's happening, I have to give a kudos. Everything is going well. Plans are moving forward.
Very nice. Very nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's good to see you guys. We have a very special episode today. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For this episode, we're going to be celebrating exceptional people. With October being Disabilities Awareness Month, we wanted to take the opportunity to introduce you to Victoria Inman, Client Success Director of JVN Consulting, the proud mother of a remarkable daughter on the autism spectrum and a friend of the Y. Combining her consulting skills with her passion for photography, Victoria embarked on a mission to capture the essence of those who are differently able, as well as promote genuine dialogue and societal acceptance. In her captivating coffee table book, Spark Acceptance, the book features photos of over 50 individuals, some of whom are members of the YMCA of Metro Atlanta. Joining Victoria is Beth Costello, Aquatics Director and the Adaptive Sport Coach for the Decatur Family Y. Beth is a longtime advocate of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. She has led many adaptive Y programs, and she worked with Victoria in the development of this book. Welcome, ladies, to Y Connect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome to you both.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
I'll kick us off. So, Victoria, the title of your book is very intriguing. Could you talk about the significance of the title? What inspired you to write the book?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you again for having me here. So the title of the book was actually chosen at the very end of the project after all of the photo shoots were completed and all of the copy was written. And although in the beginning, I knew that I wanted that word acceptance to be included somehow, it wasn't really until I saw the photos and I saw the digital proofs of the pages coming together, I realized that this book could really spark change in people's behaviors, change in people's attitudes, and overall change in their perspectives on those who they might not interact with on a regular basis. And that kind of gets to the second part of your question around inspiration. As you heard in my introduction, I have a daughter who was diagnosed on the autism spectrum, and she truly was the catalyst and inspiration for this. The whirlwind of emotions and experiences that we had at the very beginning, we decided to keep our journey very private and to a very small group of just trusted friends. But over time, just something was nudging at me that I felt this compelling desire that other people could just have a glimpse into what our world was like and not misjudge us. The challenges that my husband and I grappled with, particularly in those early years. And I just thought that other parents might have similar experiences, that they wished others could understand the unique perspectives. And, ultimately, I feel like this world could use a little bit more kindness and acceptance. And each of us can make that happen and have a daily spark to make that happen, sharing just more smiles and more random acts of kindness. And just most importantly, just really appreciation and acceptance of people and their differences.
Victoria, I want to
I
thank
have
you
to tell
personally
you,
for
yes.
your passion.
Go ahead, Robert.
Your passion seeps out.
Right.
just in that initial explanation. It really seeps out. Can you kind of talk about talking about your book, can you talk about the process? I read an article that featured you saying the spirit of the book was to turn pain into purpose. Can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's nothing that I came up with on my own. I think I heard it somewhere else and it just resonated with me. I'll say that I never really had this bucket list goal of publishing a book. And honestly, I never thought that we would share our story so publicly. But I am a portrait photographer in addition to my career at JBN. And I thought I could use my photography talents to capture just personalities, not only of my daughter, but others who are just often misunderstood, folks who Beth works with on a daily basis, misunderstood, overlooked. And so the process really kind of started. I asked my friend Kim Knight, who actually wrote the foreword of the book, as well as some other moms who have children with IEPs. I asked if they thought it would be a good idea just to showcase beautiful pictures of people who are differently abled alongside their stories. And honestly, Kim was my biggest cheerleader. She has two boys, Max and Ben, who are featured in this book. Max has Down syndrome and Ben has hearing loss. And, you know, in those beginning days when I was just noodling with the idea, she was so encouraging. And everyone who I talked to about it was so encouraging. I just thought I couldn't not do this.
Right.
So, putting my consulting skills into high gear, I started a grassroots campaign and a project plan. I started talking to anyone that I knew who might know someone who might be interested in just sharing their stories. And I started promoting the book without anything tangible. It was just an idea. And the YMCA was an organization that I was connected through my company. Dan Gordon, our leader in the Atlanta office, is close with the YMCA. And luckily I was able to connect with Beth, and she was so supportive and provided a place to do photo shoots for several, about a dozen folks from the YMCA of Decatur.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, we took the photos. We really made sure that we involved the families, the individuals who were featured, their families, to make sure that we were representing what they wanted to be said, their story to be shared. So that took a long time too, just going back and forth with copy and changes. And this was all, just so you know, before ChatGPT came on the scene. And man, I wish I had that back then. But it was great. It was a lot of work, a lot of effort. People submitted nominations. I read every single one. And you can ask my husband. I had to have a tissue with me for everything. So all the stories were just amazing. And then, you know, you asked about turning pain into purpose. This was really, you know, as a mother to a child who would oftentimes have very, very public tantrums. It felt very isolating at times. And I felt people shaming us, you know, at the grocery store and saying things under their breath like, look at that bad kid. And man, that they just need to parent better. That child's out of control. When in actuality, they had no idea what autism was or what it looked like or how it manifested. And I just felt like, you know, the world is just getting increasingly more divided without having awareness of this. So it was my personal experiences that really prompted my desire to have more purposeful inclusion of people in the special needs community. And that inclusion really needs to start with awareness. Awareness leads to understanding. Understanding leads to acceptance. And then you have inclusion. So that was kind of the story there.
Right. Wow.
Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated.
Yep. Thank you. And so my question is for Beth. Beth, can you tell us how you got involved in this inspiring project and what the experience has been like for you?
Gosh, I started with the Y in 2009, and my executive director or associate exec at the time, Jan Lawton, asked me a simple question. She said, "Are you interested in taking on a project?" And of course, she's my associate exec. I said, yes, I would love to. So she said, I want to start an adaptive program here at Decatur, and I want you to take over and lead it. And I was like, I have no experience in this. And she said, well, we'll get you trained. We'll make sure that you have all the tools that you need, and I will support you. And so she did. And I am the Aquatics Director. So the first thing that I thought of was, great, we'll have a Special Olympic swim team. So we started off the first year with about 8 kids on the swim team. We had practice twice a week, and we had a final Special Olympics game in May. And so all of the kids in the state of Georgia would come together and swim against each other. And, with Special Olympics, everyone is a champion. And so at that point in time, I was like, this is awesome. We will continue to grow the program. And so right now, as of today, I have 35 kids on my Special Olympics swim team.
Oh, wow.
And we have started basketball here and pickleball. Pickleball's new this year, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm also working on a bowling team.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
And Beth is also very instrumental on one of our innovation teams, what we call Wi-Fi teams. And these are teams that have staff from across the association, so cross-functional, that really tackle an aspect of our strategic plan on how do we solve for this. Maybe it's a challenging outcome, and one of our outcomes is how can the Y really increase its programming, its adaptive programming for families who have children with disabilities. And Beth has been on that cohort, and pretty soon they're going to be making their final recommendations. You guys worked so hard for an entire year on this, and we really look forward to hearing what those recommendations are so the Y can start taking the steps necessary, because we have many families who want to bring their children to the Y, and we want to accommodate for their needs.
Yes.
So I have a question for Victoria. I noticed that you co-wrote this book with David Carr, who is a 4-time Grammy Award-winning musician and drummer for the band Third Day. How did you two decide to collaborate on this project together?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a photographer, you have the opportunity to meet other photographers in the industry and make great friendships along the way. And one of my most cherished friendships is with David. He is an incredible artist. And you said 4-time Grammy Award winning artist. It is incredible. And I've had the chance to see those Grammys in real life. They are very impressive. After his music career, he decided to dive into photography, and his portrait work is amazing. His wildlife photography is amazing. And every once in a while, we get together for coffee. And during one of our regular coffee chats, I was just complimenting on his incredible landscape and nature photography. And I told him, you really need to create a coffee table book. This is amazing. And then later on, I said, we should collaborate together somehow doing something. And then the idea was kind of born right then and there. So I'm just so grateful that, he is so very talented and that he was really receptive to this. And he lent me his talents and skills to collaborate with me on this project as well. He's a fantastic friend.
Beth, as I understand, and as you just mentioned, you've engaged in developing adaptive programming at Decatur Family YMCA, the basketball, pickleball, soon to come bowling. Can you tell us a little bit about your work and share with listeners why you do what you do?
Why I do what I do? Gosh, I love these kids and adults and all of my athletes. They bring me so much joy, and relating with their parents and giving them a community and just being a part of it is amazing to me, and I love it, and I will do this until the day I die. When I bring in new kids, I learn all about them. I get to understand how they work, and I accommodate my teaching structure to the way they work. And so it's just fun for me because I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly connecting with folks, and I enjoy the parents as well. It's just amazing work for me.
And again, we can hear the passion in your voice. It's absolutely extraordinary.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you for sharing that, Beth. Victoria, would you mind sharing some of the individual stories that you featured in your book that really spoke to you?
Absolutely. I think, we're limited on time with who I can talk through, but every single individual that I met was impactful in some way or another. The first photo shoot that we did was of a girl named Ilsa, and she walked into my studio with her big UGA bow and this just infectious smile. And my dog was running around the studio. And I had never interacted with someone who needed to use an iPad to speak. But she taught me that even if someone is nonverbal, that doesn't mean that they don't want to be talked to. And Ilsa is more than just her chromosomal abnormality and her autism spectrum disorder and her nonverbal way, but she was so happy and so fun and adored my dog. Another person was this woman named Caitlin, young lady named Caitlin, and what struck me was her maturity. She's in middle school, and she shared with me how the kids make fun of her behind her back and to her face, and would say things like, "You can't be friends with us." And it was so painful to hear that coming from her. And she said that a friend said to her, you know what they're saying about you. And her response was, "It's not the first time they made fun of me, and it's not going to be the last time. And it's not a me problem, it's a them problem." And, she has some speech and language delay along with ADHD. And in this book, she had this maturity to write, she does belong and she's worthy of respect and social acceptance. And I applaud her so much, especially in those middle school years are so challenging. Another, not a girl, but the mother of a girl, I think this really helps just with your audience. She has a congenital heart defect and complete heart block, which means that she relies on a pacemaker. Her name is Anna. And the perspective that her mom shared with me is that after surgeries, people will say, okay, so the surgery went well, so she's going to be okay, right? But the reality is that while that's a very well-intended comment, the fact is that Anna is going to have surgeries for her entire life. Her life depends on a battery, and that's never going to change. And so that question, while well-intended, is also very hurtful. I think all the kiddos, I'd say something that struck me too was how Beth really interacted with the folks at the Y. Kazim was he's a runway model, and he was a little nervous getting up there. And Beth walked alongside him and did like a model runway walk. And that was really fun to watch. It was fun to watch what a great impact Beth has had on these members of the Y and how much they loved being celebrated. It was really fun to watch and witness and be able to capture.
I appreciate you sharing those stories. When your book came out, you were so wonderful in reaching out back to the Y to let us know it had been published. And our CEO immediately bought several copies. And they're here at our headquarters. And I often will walk by her office. There's a little seating area where they are sitting. And people are always looking through your book. And it's sparking such curiosity and understanding. It's beautiful. It really, really is. Thank you for doing this, Victoria. So how might our listeners get a copy? So they're hearing about it here on the podcast. How might people get a copy of the book, and any plans to do another one?
Awesome. Yeah. So the book is available for purchase at sparkacceptance.com. And we have sold over 450 copies. So it's really exciting how many hands this book is in. Your listeners can use the discount code SPARK for 20% off. Nice. And I definitely want to do another project. I don't know what that's going to look like. I've thought about maybe doing another digital edition or maybe a follow-up series to Where Are They Now? And there's Chris. He's wonderful. He's so much fun, and his personality is great. So I think, it might be fun to do a follow-up series with, Chris, and this is Caroline, and maybe some of the other folks that were in this first edition. But I also had the opportunity to go to several elementary schools here in Cobb County and Cherokee and Fulton, and really seeing the firsthand, sincere interest that these elementary school children have in the people in this book, I might venture into doing a children's book. So the world is the oyster. Who knows? But I definitely want to do something. I just don't know when.
Fantastic. And, this question wasn't shared with you ahead of time, but I am so inspired by you. What does your life look like since writing the book around finding spaces where you can help other parents? Because what you're doing and what you're saying is so cathartic. So how do you fill your cup, and how are you continuing to spread this message or support yourself in this journey?
Yeah, I think so much of a big impact is made in small groups and one-on-one conversations. And, it's a very intimate experience reading this book. It's really a journey in self-discovery. So, what it looks like now, like I said, I have the opportunity to go to different elementary schools and talk about the book, talking to the teachers and really expressing gratitude for what these special education teachers do. I do a lot of that. And then really it's just changing the language every day and finding ways to appropriately explain what people might be going through and build empathy. I wrote an article that's going to be featured in the next edition of the JVN Journal that really gives a perspective for working professionals of what it's like to have a child with a different ability, or what it might be like for individuals in the workplace who have maybe an invisible different ability. So really focusing my efforts on that special needs community portion of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in my professional career, I get to help and consult our clients on how do you stand up an abilities type of organization. And I've gotten to do that this year as well. So really marrying what I do professionally and my passions personally, and really just changing my everyday or making sure that there's opportunities and space to talk about this every day with the people that I meet and interact with.
That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yep. And I do have a question also. I'm wondering about our parents and the challenges that they're dealing with, especially dealing with a child from birth to 5 and early learning and a lot of newly discovered exceptionalities. Do you have a bit of advice you can leave our families with?
I'd say, don't be afraid of a diagnosis. It's nothing more than a sheet of paper. And I think, at first you have a child and you think, okay, the path is going to be this way, and you might not expect it. But as a person of faith, and I believe that everything happens for a reason, everything is planned for a reason. And so if you can lean into that with whatever faith system you subscribe to, you're in it, you're here, leverage resources, talk about it. I wish I had talked more freely about it, although I wouldn't change what our experiences were. We had a great pediatric behavioral psychologist. We had great occupational therapists. We had a great community to do play therapy with. I just can't help but wonder if I was more willing to be more exposed with what we were going through, how much better could we have made our opportunity for our child? So I would say, lean into what your situation is and find a circle of people that you can trust and reach out to, because 1 in 5 households in the United States, according to census data, is caring for a child that has a medical or a special need. And so that's 20% of the population. So while it might feel isolating for you, there's more people than you might not realize that are probably going through similar experiences. especially in those early years. And I think early intervention therapy really is what was a key to helping my daughter acclimate and thrive in an environment. And now she's 9 years old, about to be 10. And
Wow.
I mean, yes, we have our moments, but she's doing so great.
Nice. Thank you.
Love hearing that. Absolutely love hearing that. This is an opportunity now for both of you to kind of share your pathway to the why. We end every episode at Y Connects with an opportunity for our guest to talk about their first connection to the why. So either of you can go first, or I can delegate to either Beth or Victoria, either one.
I'm happy to go first. I started at the Y in, I'm not even going to say the year because I'm going to date myself, in Ohio. And I was 7 years old and I was on the swim team there. So that's when I was first introduced to the Y. My parents took me there and they entrusted the Y with me. I stayed there. I joined other groups. And then I left there and I went to Baltimore. And I was also part of the Y there doing swimming. And I also started teaching at the Y in Baltimore. And it was just my part-time gig. I never thought I would be a full-time instructor or aquatics director. And then I moved to Georgia, where I am now, and my children were both in school and I needed a job that was going to allow me some flexibility, and the aquatics director's position came open and I said yes. I told Jan I would love to do this job, and I've been here ever since, and it's been an amazing journey for me, and I'm so happy I found the Y.
We are too.
We're glad you did.
Yes.
We are too.
Thank you.
Well, my story with the Y starts in the late 80s. And I was a child and my family was a member of the Y. Up then I lived in New Jersey. So I remember my parents going to fitness classes and me going and playing with my brother in where there was lots of fun toys. And as I got a little bit older, I was able to go swimming, and it was a heated pool. And I just thought that was so cool. And in the winters in New Jersey, they could be pretty rough. So, my first pathway to the Y, my early memories were swimming at the pool in the wintertime at the Y with my family. That was really fond memories growing up that I'll never forget. And then, most recently, as we've talked about, very thankful to Dan Gordon, who introduced me to Lauren, who introduced me to Beth, and more in this professional space, and launching this project, Getting Connected, that we talked all about today.
Yes. Thank you both so much for sharing today.
Absolutely.
My pleasure.
So we certainly appreciate both of you.
Yeah, and we look forward to following your continued journey, Victoria. And Beth, thank you for doing what you do. And
That's right.
Can't wait for your recommendations as a part of your Y5 work here at the Y.
I'm excited about it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Y Podcast. To continue the conversation or to find your closest Y, please connect with us at ymcaatlanta.org and sign up for our newsletter, Healthy Together.